Welcome back to this space. Emotions. When we say I am sad, there's something in the language that defines us, that constricts us. Jill Bolte Taylor, a Harvard scientist, she talks about the 90 seconds rule. She says that it takes 90 seconds for an emotion to be felt through the body. In Irish, you say sadness is on me. You see the image of the weather, something always changing, in constant movement. In the word emotion, you see that the essence of the emotion is to move. It doesn't want to stick around forever. It's just passing. If we see that all of these behaviors that are normalized are always hiding an emotion, and these emotions are actually the information to tell us about our needs, it's actually just messengers to be like, hey, new information, this is something that you need to be aware of, because then you will be able to meet that need. Babies are always expressing what they're feeling without any question or any thought of it. They're just feeling, expressing, and these emotions that they have are always telling us, they need this, they need to be changed, they are hungry, they need to sleep. And then something happens from a baby to an adult where we actually over-intellectualize everything. We tell a story, we stop it somewhere in the body, and we don't let ourselves move it through as big and as wild and as also unharming, because when you're just feeling in your body, you're not screaming at someone, you're not punching someone, you're not making a war. So it's also safer it feels less safe to feel it because it feels so uncomfortable, but it's actually safer for the world when we allow ourselves to have our own expression of our emotions, to get in touch with the messages of the day for our own body, our own entity, and to be able to relate with the world, all of the world outside. Rain can be as fun and as soothful, and might I say essential. The soil needs water to grow food, to create whatever the ecosystem is creating. When you have the right equipment, when you have shelter, when you have rain gear, when you have your boots. If someone doesn't have rain gear, doesn't have the boots, doesn't know any shelter around, they're going to be scared of the rain because it's just cold and you're just out there in the cold being wet. So if someone doesn't have the equipment, it's easy for them to say, no, it's not raining. But never gaslight yourself by thinking that the weather that's happening inside of you isn't real. We are going to judge an emotion. We've had experiences where something was shamed, so we're going to block it here. And it's not going to flow and move, and we don't allow it to just run its course. So we loop it. We have a thought about it. We think it's bad. We come back to memories where it happened when we were younger. And so every time you feel sad, for example, all of that repressed sadness is also there, wanting to be felt. So that's why it can be very overwhelming. And it's like a vicious circle. The more you don't feel, the less you want to feel. And if you see it as a generational movement that has been blocked, there was a study about mice and the lavender scent, I think, where mice were put in a cage and lavender would be sprayed, the lavender scent would be sprayed in the cage, and then they would get an electrical shock right after. And this was repeated multiple times during their lives. their children and grandchildren who were never electrically shocked. Each time they smelt the scent of lavender was sprayed in the cage, they would get into a shock mode. They would apprehend that something really bad would happen. So this was an experiment to prove how these information actually are transferred from generation to generation. Something in the body, because the body wants us to survive, the body protects us in many ways, then it will give something, an information to associate that this is dangerous, this is bad, this means pain, this means danger. And so all of these, for example, 1,000 years ago, someone was shamed very, very harmfully that they felt something or that they were, crying. Then they associated that crying means that you're going to be punished. The body, for the person that their children, their grandchildren, that association is very, very hardwired. And it takes, like everything, so much more time to uncover that, to unravel that, than to install it in the body. Consumerism, for example, that's a behavior. We buy. We take. We allow chains of workers being underpaid and exploited to have these objects that are being dug up from the center of the earth again and again, and we change products every year or 2 years. That behavior is hiding an emotion. You always feel something when you buy something, right? Well, that emotion that we are not letting ourselves feel is actually underneath, hiding a need. So if we were in tune with our needs, imagine if our behaviors of consumerism would radically change. This is why the emotional realm is something that is being talked about more and more, something that is being taken into account, and I truly feel and know that there's so much to uncover. And emotions isn't just something that you do because you want to feel better. It's also something that you take seriously because it has a potential to change a lot in the ways that we are with ourselves. So that means in the ways that we are with others, and how us as a humanity can actually act and move in the world in a more responsible way for all other living beings. And I will see you in the next video. Part 2 will be more on actual tips to allow the movement of the emotions to run their course. And this part 1 was more of intellectualizing and giving reasons why it's important to take into account emotions. And I think that's an okay thing, to want to know why we do things, because today we want to know why, to give sense, to give meaning, because a lot of things are meaningless and do not make sense. So I wanted to make this part 1 as an introduction for part 2. I'm wishing you a colorful moment of life in the world, wherever you are. And if it's a little gray, then these colors are for you.